Alright guys, welcome back to Urge. We're moving on in the subclass series onto the Bard again, the College of Glamour. So if you're new to the channel and to the subclass series, what we're going to do is we're going to go through each of the abilities gained by the subclass, and then we're going to rate the roleplay value, the combat value, and the overall class synergy based on how these subclass abilities gained improve on the base class abilities.
Right.
So, without any further ado, we'll jump right into it.
Bingo. Level 3, you're getting a pair of abilities starting off with Mantle of Inspiration. As with all the other Bard subclasses, you get additional use of your Bardic Inspiration. This one is interesting.
Yes.
So, as bonus action, pop a Bardic Inspiration. Choose a number of creatures that you can see within 60 feet, so good range, equal to your Charisma modifier, which is your #1 casting stat. Each of them gains, at this point, 5 temporary hit points, and then they can immediately use their reaction to move whatever their movement speed is without provoking opportunity attack. The temporary HP also scales to 8 at 5th level, 11 at 10th level, and 14 at 15th level. So the temporary HP does scale. And again, just as a reminder for temp HP explanation, if you pop this and you got a ranger or a wizard that's back there hiding and doing things from a distance that doesn't take any damage, and you want to pop this again within the same combat, they haven't taken any damage, they don't get more temporary, temporary HP. It's just, that's what it is. But if they've taken some damage, it just goes back to the max.
Right. It doesn't stack, it just replaces temporary HP, whatever the most amount that you got at once replaces the old temporary HP.
But yeah, the whole getting them extra free movement is just on as a reaction. I can go from now moving here to there, just boom on the spot, and it doesn't provoke opportunity attack.
Right.
We'll go into more benefits of that later on in the video.
Yes. Also, at level 3, we get Enthralling Performance. This one's actually pretty interesting. You spend a minute and you charge your performance with Seductive Fey energy. So basically what's going to happen is you have to perform for at least a minute, and at the end of the performance, you can choose a number of humanoids within 60 feet of you who watched and listened to all of your performance. It has to be at least a minute long, remember. Equal to your Charisma modifier, so if you have a score of 20, you're going to have 5 creatures that you can influence.
Right.
You're going to make a Wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC or be charmed by you. While charmed, the target idolizes you, speaks very well of you to anyone else, hinders anyone who tries to come against you, although it avoids violence unless it was otherwise inclined to fight for you before they were charmed.
Right. Make you some drinking buddies first, then do this.
Right, there you go. The effect ends on the target after 1 hour if it takes any damage, or if it attacks you, or if it witnesses you attacking an ally of its. If a target succeeds on the saving throw, however, the target has no hint that you tried to charm it, which is really interesting because usually with charm effects, if they succeed on the saving throw, they know that you tried to influence them. But with this, there's not really a risk to trying it because they're not going to know that you tried.
Right, because you're a bard, you're just playing music anyway.
And the best part is it refreshes on every short rest, so you can redo it again. If you play a song and it fails and they don't know, obviously, that you tried to charm them, you could take a rest and
come back tomorrow.
Come back for a repeat performance.
Or an evening, evening encore.
There you go.
Level 6, you get Mantle of Majesty. So once again, the Fey magic is the theme here. Cloak yourself in Fey magic and make others want to serve you. It's a bonus action. Again, you can cast Command without spending a spell slot. Again, Command, you basically can force them to do simple one-word commands like halt, approach, kneel, grovel, whatever the case may be. Simple one-word commands. Just because they are just absolutely enthralled by your beauty and amazement. Very Fey-like, makes sense. Yeah. For 1 minute or until the concentration ends, as if you were concentrating on a spell. It doesn't take a spell, but it is technically concentration, so you have to hold that. And during this time, for the 1 minute, you can continue to do this every turn as a bonus action without spending a spell slot.
And the thing, too, is Command is normally an action, cast a spell. Mm-hmm. So, bonus action, pretty nice on there.
Right. Any creature that's charmed by you automatically fails the saving throw against the commands you cast with this feature and is a once per long rest. So, we'll cover more of this later. It actually ties in with your enthralling performance. If you've charmed them with it, you can then use this to command them, and they automatically fail the saving throw for command, and you just have completely captured their attention and their love and their adornment.
Right. The only thing with this one is it is a long rest instead of the short rest you use.
So choose that one wisely.
Yes. Level 14, you have Unbreakable Majesty. Your appearance permanently gains an otherworldly aspect that makes you look more lovely and fierce.
How do we do that? We have Fey magic,
There
man.
you go. As a bonus action, you can assume your magical presence for a minute or until you are incapacitated. For the duration, any creature that tries to attack you for the first time on a turn, the attacker must make a charisma saving throw against your spell save DC. On a fail, it cannot attack you on its turn and must choose a new target for its attack, or the attack is wasted.
Yes.
On a successful save, it can attack you, but it has disadvantage on any saving throw it makes against your spells on your next turn.
Ooh.
Once you assume the presence, you can only use it again once you've completed a short rest.
Yes.
Pretty good on that
Yes. 10 turns of combat of being like, you probably can't hit me, but if you do, you're going to regret it.
one. Right. And it does, in this one, ability does not take up your concentration as
No.
the Mantle of Majesty does.
Mm-mm.
So you're just solid for a good minute there.
Yes.
A lot more defensive, and if they do hit you, you're going to be able to get advantage, or they're going to have disadvantage on your spell attacks against them. Dominate.
Yeah.
My personal monster. Just throwing that out there.
Or hold. Your choice. Either way. It's great. It's option.
With that, we'll move on to the scoring section of the video. First up is the roleplay value.
Yes.
And this is a bard.
It's a bard.
It definitely has a little bit more focus on the RP, I would say. And the abilities here are all pretty solid. But the thing is, the enthralling performance and the Mantle of Majesty are both pretty good, especially with the short rest for enthralling performance. And again, even with Unbreakable Majesty, there's some arguments that it could be used for RP.
It does give you a permanent appearance change to make you look more lovely and fierce, even outside
Correct.
of combat. So that is a permanent change.
True. And also Mantle of Inspiration. We kind of go back and forth on this, but most of the time, when anything gives you, even if it's a combat ability, but it gives you movement speed can definitely be used in RP settings versus if you're in a chase,
Yep.
or you're trying to get away from something,
Yes.
or run after something, or any kind of movement-based things can have definitely
Even not
RP
actually like
uses.
fighting it.
Right.
Right.
So we went ahead and gave this a 4.5 out of 5.
A lot of
Well,
fun.
yeah, just because these abilities are all pretty solid, and short rest uses are always very good as well.
On the combat side of things, it was really interesting. We had a very long discussion to figure out how we were going to do this because there's not a lot of combat abilities here. There's only 4 abilities, which is kind of small and thin,
Right.
but they are very in-depth abilities that you do get. And while 2 of these abilities are almost exclusively RP, Mantle of Majesty, you can cast command in combat, so there's some work there, especially if you already charmed them ahead of time.
Right.
So there's some use combat-wise there. Mantle of Inspiration is really good because combat-wise, you can give multiple targets up to 5 eventually once you get your charisma modifier. Just, here's a free reaction, move your movement speed. And that can be used to get your whole group out of trouble if
Right.
things aren't going well, because it doesn't promote opportunity attack. So it's to get out of trouble, or if you're trying to close the gap to get to like, there's 15 archers and there's 5 of you all. You better, well, this time you can get a free dash essentially to close that gap faster. Or, and be able to move around and get to whatever you need to get to. And the different hit points is not a lot, but anything helps.
Right.
And especially your wizards and your sorcerers will be best friends with you because that's probably like a quarter of their health.
Yeah, it's a good chunk.
Just free as a bonus action. Then you get over to this thing that is the level 14 ability. So essentially for a minute, for 10 turns, you're literally telling people that you can't hit me, you can't hit me, you can't hit me. But if you actually do manage to hit me, which I don't think you can, it's going to suck for you. Because the fact that if they fail to save, which a charisma saving throw by itself is on the more rare side of saving throws, probably intelligence is probably the only thing more rare than a charisma saving throw. Probably the only thing more rare, I would think.
Yeah, probably.
As far as in all game mechanics anyway. And your spell save DC is going to be pretty high by the time you hit 14. It's going to be bare minimum of 17, probably 18 or 19 at this point. So very hard for a lot of things to have to roll that high with a charisma save. But if they do manage to succeed it and they still get to hit you, they have disadvantage on saving throws against your spells on your next turn. So if you realize, okay, there is a big giant wizard back there and he finger of death me and he hit me with it, and you're like, okay, that sucked. Well, guess what? That's going to suck for you, and you're going to be like, dominate person on your butt, and you have disadvantage on that saving throw. Right. So now instead of you hit me, now you belong to me.
Right.
that becomes how that works. So even though there's not a lot of combat abilities, we decided on a 3.5 out of 5 flumps. You can make an argument for more, you can make an argument for less, because to me there's not a lot of abilities, but the 2 you get have very, very good uses for sure. Very much.
Yeah, I kind of got talked down a little bit. I was like, this thing's amazing. I'm like, level 14 ability is so good. But it's like once per short rest. I mean, yeah, it is a minute. But yeah, there could be arguments for it being higher. Yes, sure. It's going to depend on how your combats go down, and also the composition of your party. I think is supposed to make a big difference,
right.
Especially on.
One of the reasons why I did try to talk Jameson down from a higher score is that if you don't use the Unbreakable Majesty ability, there's nothing that helps what you do as a bard on your turn.
Right.
Nothing that helps you do anything besides to be able to move around. It gets some extra health. So that's really the only reason why it wasn't probably a 4 or 4.5. If any of these other abilities gave you something extra combat-wise, literally anything, probably gets higher than what it is. But ultimately a 3.5 with one good ability and one really good ability.
Yeah, definitely nothing to shrug off.
No.
Then lastly, we have the overall class synergy. With the base bard class, there's not really a whole lot to work with,
right.
Unfortunately.
It's a lot of cut and dry stuff.
The biggest thing is going to be magical secrets, which it's kind of hard to synergize with because you just kind of take whatever.
Yeah.
Now, it's good, obviously with magical secrets and with your Unbreakable Majesty, it's probably going to be better to take saving throw spells instead of spell attacks just because they're going to get the disadvantage on there. But other than that, I mean, there's not really a whole lot to work with. So we just decided to go with a simple cut and dry 3 out of 5 for the flumps. It's not really hurting anything on the base class. It's not really adding a whole lot either.
Right.
Just kind of a solid, decent score. Again, with that on the overall class synergy. But other than that, there's not really much to say about the synergy on that.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting things this class could be done with, I think. Both, especially in an RP, even an RP heavy setting, or even in a combat heavy setting, you become a nice little buff for your party with your Mantle of Inspiration. And for a turn, you can really, or for 10 turns in a combat, you can really manipulate a lot of things, right, and do what bards do based on their spell casting list anyway. There's not a lot of offensive spells in a bard repertoire. It's a lot of CC,
right,
and support based stuff anyway. So it does kind of work pretty well with that and what you do get.
Yeah. All right, guys, that's gonna wrap it up for this one. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell notifications so when our new videos come out. Make sure you let us know down below in the comments if you have any experience with playing a bard or playing this particular subclass or just any D&D stories in general. We'd love to hear them below. If you have any ideas for videos, let us know as well. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.